Hey guys, it's Brett, and thanks for stopping by my channel. So today, I wanted to talk a little bit about the new John Irving book, The Last Chairlift. But before I do that, first I wanted to say big congratulations on the 7 Moons of Mali Almeida winning the Booker Prize. For me, this is what I wanted to win, so I was thrilled. Obviously, I was pushing the whole time. I really wanted The Colony. I was sure The Colony was going to win early on. And then when it didn't even make the short list, I was shocked and appalled. And shortly after I read this, and this was probably my second favorite of the whole group, I thought it was just really remarkable and clever and funny. It did what a great book should do, which is open your eyes to a whole new world, in this case, Sri Lanka. But I thought it was fantastic. It will be out shortly in the States, I know. But for those of you who can't wait, of course, you can do what so many of us did and order it from anywhere in London or in the UK. But again, I'm really thrilled for this. So congrats on that. And then one other thing I just wanted to say was, because I'm not doing my laydowns, as you know, but this came today and I'm really excited for it. I can't wait to dive in. It's one of the things I was most anticipating this fall, and certainly I will be posting about it again as we get into November and nonfiction November, and to push a lot of books that are nonfiction. It is, of course, it is, of course, how would you know until I tell you? It is Madly Deeply, The Diaries of Alan Rickman. I can't wait to, like I said, dive in, even look at this beautiful interior boards. This is not what the rest of the book is like. I had one moment when I opened it and I was like, wow, that's incredible. But I love memoirs, and certainly 2022 has seen a great number of them, of really good ones. But I really love diaries, because there's something just so much more personal and so much it's of the time. There's no reflecting back, unless you're reflecting about something that happened previously and you're writing it down. But there's no time that has passed as you're remembering a story. It seems so much more immediate. So I'm really excited for this. This came out yesterday. So there you go. All right, so John Irving, The Last Chairlift, or the next paperweight book thing, Do Your Curls. This sucker is heavy. Like, I think it weighs in at almost 3 pounds, 900 pages. I should start by saying I'm going to put this down because I'm not going to hold this the whole time. Otherwise, my arms are going to be killing me. I should start by saying I am a massive John Irving fan. Like, the first book I read by John Irving was, I think it was during or post college, was A Prayer for Owen Meany. It actually was during college. And the reason I now know that is because my roommate at the time, she had read it. And she described it, I remember this so well. She described it to me as, she said, I love that book so much that I delayed finishing it and would only read bits at a time because I was so sad at the thought of leaving it. And that, I love that for any book that is a great book, or any book that you get really excited about. But Owen Meany, I just was like, who is this man who thought this up? And then I dove into the Cider House Rules, which I thought was fantastic as well. And then I started to move backwards with The World According to Garp and The Hotel New Hampshire. And then I even went as far back. I got, like, at the time, one of those like Barnes and Noble omnibus of his earlier works, like Setting Free the Bears, The 158-Pound Marriage, which, in all honesty, were the only things that kind of, like, I was like, oh my, I don't have to do this. Like, I don't feel like I have to be a completist necessarily, because I'm not getting the vibe. And interestingly enough, maybe it's something to go back to now, as he's 80 years old and he has said this is the last long book he's going to write. I've actually put some of them here. I also, in the later years, I loved this, Son of the Circus. I thought it was great. So, but I would be lying to you if I said that as his books have progressed the last few years that I found them all captivating. I haven't. I've been mixed on them, but still going because I do think he's a genius writer. And so my feelings with Last Chairlift kind of confirmed some of the things I already felt, while at the same time reminding me of how brilliant this guy is. Um, so to basically give you a quick synopsis of the story of this, a quick synopsis of a massive story. And someone said to me, I was about 200 pages in, and a friend of mine, she said, "Well, yeah, but what do you think of it? How is it?" And I said, "You know, it's fine. I'm not necessarily bored. I just haven't figured out where we're going and what the point is of this yet." And I still stand by that. Although it ultimately, yes, it makes sense, but it's a life. It's a life in this man, um, whose name just went out of my head, Adam Brewster. It's his life. Adam becomes a writer. Uh, he is born into a very non-traditional family, which is very typical Irving. His mother is a lesbian. His father, he does not know. And so the first, I would say, almost 60 to 70% of the novel is this pervasive thing that is sticking in the back, you know, who is my dad and how can I find him, and him trying to figure it out. Um, his mother is involved with another woman that they've been together for years. His mother is a ski instructor. His mother's girlfriend um, runs she's the one that grooms the uh, slopes in the evening. He goes to Exeter, the private school Exeter, which John Irving also did, where he is very fond of a teacher, an English teacher, who then ends up getting married to his mother. But this English teacher uh, is at the beginning stages of um, coming to terms with their being with her being transgender. I've almost messed my pronouns up. So the English teacher, in the course of the novel, becomes a woman. Again, this is another not an issue. This is another plot point or character that Irving has touched on before, most notably with The World According to Garp, in terms of transgender character. And so his cousin is a lesbian. His cousin's girlfriend, her name is M. Her parents turn out to be gay and lesbian. So, frankly, it's the gayest book I've read, written by a straight man. I think, meaning I think, meaning I think it is, and meaning I think he is. I think so, but Irving has always done this, and Irving has always written these extremely progressive and kind of off the wall families in terms of how they interact. And I say off the wall, certainly not because of any of the gender identity or sexuality. That's not what I'm talking about, as I, have my own gay family. No, but what I'm really referring to is their characters. He writes these incredibly quirky, offbeat people who, for example, his cousin Nora, her girlfriend M, um, almost in a point of rebellion because of what happened with her parents and how abusive they were to her, stopped speaking. So she goes through the majority of the novel never uttering a word and interacting or communicating through acting things out. And she's interpreted by her girlfriend, which ends up then morphing into the two of them in later in life, starting a comedy routine in New York. So that's what I mean by these quirky characters. And all of that works in a lot of ways. And that's the thing that engages you in the book. Certainly, it's what engaged me. And I would say that first and foremost, this is a character driven novel that spans 40 years, almost 50 years. So you're going through the lives of all these people. And again, some of it's very compelling and very successful. And the continual comparisons to Irving's real life makes it feel at times like you're reading some kind of meta autobiography between the wrestling that Adam does, the school that he goes to, all the way down to him, this character as he becomes a writer, going to the Iowa Writers Workshop for his education and being taught by Kurt Vonnegut, who was one of John Irving's mentors and teachers when he was there. So sometimes it feels like you're reading a collection of Easter eggs that if you know his history and story and biography enough, you see how it's informing the narrative. But guys, it is long. And at times I was exhausted reading it and would have to put it down and pick it up sometime later because it is minutia and detail. And there is a sequence in there, the character, like Irving, desperately wants to get into screenwriting and begins to write screenplays, which Irving did. And there is a segment in this when a kind of traumatic event happens to Adam at a very specific location. It's a location that Adam feels is integral to understanding who he is and where he came from. And but the character describes all this and says what happened while he was in that place was kind of so traumatizing that the only way he remembers it is by scripting it. So there are two big sections because he goes back to the same place later. So there are these two large sections that are done as a screenplay. By the time I got to that first section, which was 3/4 of the way through the book, I was getting kind of stir crazy. So I was in a way grateful for it because scripts, read so quickly that there was not a lot of description. It was just dialogue. And then, so was it a necessary thing? I don't know. I understand in reading it why the decision was made from a character point of view. Did it add something to the book? No, it merely did nothing for me except help me get through these sections quicker because of the way a script reads. So a few people had said to me when they saw I was reading it, well, but the bottom line is, did you like it? Did you like it? And I could say I like-ish it. I liked a lot of it. If I really didn't like it, I would have just stopped reading it. And I wanted to see what would happen in the end and where this was all going to end up. Did it end the way I would have liked it to? No, and by that I only mean I think I was hoping for a kind of more cathartic and more, for lack of a better word, a dramatic ending. There is a theatricality to his writing with these, big characters and big set pieces, and people die in Irving novels in spectacular ways. And some of those absolutely happen in this book, violent deaths. But I wanted something in the end that was going to move me, like the way that Owen Meany moved me. So I would close it and say, okay, some of this was a chore, but it was worth it. And I don't know that it was worth it. I think for anyone who's a diehard Irving fan, you should absolutely give it a go. I think if you've never read John Irving before, I would not choose this as your entree into his world. Again, Owen Meany to me is the best and the pinnacle, in my opinion, that's what I would start with. And if you like that, branch out from there. But I have to say, frankly, the last Chairlift, as enjoyable as some of the sights were on the way up, I was really looking forward to getting off and skiing down the mountain. All right. Thanks for stopping by and listening to this long diatribe about the book, which is now probably feels as long as the book itself. I hope you all have a good few days. I will see you soon. And if you like what you've seen today, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you later.